Now, see, this is something that I wouldn't mind actually having a bit of a look at. I quite like these game ranks ones, the before you buy. So let's have a bit of a look. I like the Star Wars games, and I like the Lego games. So
Hey, and we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, the show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of.
look, I really love these games. I really love how the progression of the Lego games has come a long way. I mean, I remember back on the PS2 when like Indiana Jones and stuff like that came out. I mean, the gameplay was kind of clunky, but it was a really novel idea to just sort of have a bit of a slapstick take on some of the modern sort of IPs, I suppose. You know, Lord of the Rings, Indiana Jones, Star Wars. This one is actually looking. I mean, look at the graphics on this. Ridiculously good, and then you sort of see these Lego characters. I mean, I'm happy.
Of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake, and I've been playing Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. It has been a long time since we've had one of these games, and they're really special and significant. If you're a bit older, you might think it's just another licensed product game, but since like the PS2 GameCube days, the Lego Star Wars games were like a powerhouse for younger fans.
Exactly right, and that's a really good point. It does sort of just take a lot of these IPs. I mean, you can pretty much take any kind of IP and turn it into a Lego game, and make it more kid friendly. So I think that what they've done is really, really good with that idea. Like I said, ever since the PS2 era, I haven't really played a great deal of them or anything like that. I do own a fair few of them, but I really haven't played a great deal of them. But my son loves them, and I mean, he's not really that into Star Wars in particular. I mean, he's more into Lego, more into Indiana Jones than he's into Star Wars. Anything like this, and you know the gameplay. I mean, there's Harry Potter. There's so many of them. You know the style of gameplay. So pretty much as long as you can figure out how to jump, punch, and collect things, or use spells, or whatever the little extra bits and pieces are for the particular game, you're pretty well right as a
It's
kid.
like a whole cultural
So
avenue of gaming
it's
that is very
I really
often
like them
ignored,
anyway.
or at least underrated. Lego Star Wars games are more legit than people realize. It's like video game comfort food. And so with this new one, they
That's a good way to put it.
crammed all of the mainline Star Wars movies into one game, from the prequels to the originals to the new sequels, which
Yeah, out of
not
the way a
all
bit.
of them got their own standalone games. It's got all the ups and downs of Star Wars, as well as tons of vehicles and fully explorable like open
Like, look at that. I
environments
mean,
this time around.
look, realistically, let's go.
Planets
Hang on, where
and
are we?
galaxy map.
Now, like this. I mean, look, you got your X-wing, but I mean, if you got rid of the little bumps of Lego and you know all the extra little Lego pieces and stuff like that around the place, I mean, you can sort of see up the top here. You got some Lego blocks and stuff flying around. I mean, if you get rid of something like that, it pretty much is just a cartoon version of a Star Wars game. And my God, it's clean, isn't it?
And
Like, look at the
insane
movement, look at the flow.
full
It's just
replayable
so
character.
nice.
It's really ambitious and honestly impressive what they've done here. You know, while it
It
sometimes
really is.
feels like kind of padded and filled with unnecessary and sometimes boring stuff in spots, I think overall players who want this type of thing will be happy to jump in, especially.
Look, I will say one quick thing though. It is made, well, I suppose the target audience is not necessarily just kids either though. So yeah, while there is a lot of filler, it's a lot of different people can sort of access this. I mean, I enjoy collectathons. I'm a bit of a sadist or a bit of a masochist like that, I suppose. I like to put myself through the torture of collecting as much as I possibly can in each game. If there's a nook and cranny that I haven't searched, you bet I'll be going back there. Like, you don't have to do that for everyone. I mean, the story's there if you just want to play through the story. I mean, the gameplay's there if if you're younger and you just want to have a bit of fun playing a game. Or if you're like me and you want to play the game to its fullest extent, yeah, you've got that option as well. So I like the balance, but I like the
if you're
options to
gonna
do
go
so
through it
too.
with, like a child or a friend or a loved one or whatever, it's good for a couple of laughs and some good Lego Star
And
Wars
multiplayer. I haven't even
good
touched on the
times. And just
multiplayer
so
yet.
you know, we've been playing a review copy, and this footage here has been captured on an Xbox Series X. Now, the way it works is from the main menu, you can access basically the starting film from each trilogy. And then by playing through, you subsequently unlock the next one. Like finishing A New Hope unlocks Empire Strikes Back, that kind of thing.
See, again,
Now,
that's
these
some really
are
cool
new
progression.
Lego Star Wars campaigns. They're not just like dumping the old ones in here. Each movie is
See, I like that.
represented
I like that idea. I'm pretty sure they did that for oh, which one was it? Oh, it was one of the other. It was like Lego Star Wars, I believe. One of the Lego Star Wars games, anyway. I'm pretty sure that that's what they did for that one too, where you go in. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was 1, 2, and 3. So you go Phantom Menace, Clone Wars, and then oh God, what's the third one? Oh God, hang on. I'm gonna get shot if I don't know this. Star Wars 3. Revenge? Hang on. What's it? Yeah, Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, cool. I knew it was Revenge of something, but I wasn't sure if it was Sith or the Empire. It's been a while. As you can tell, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fanboy. I enjoy the series, but I've never really been the
And each one can
the
last you a
huge
few hours,
fanboy of
depending on
it.
how you play. Now, the Lego Star Wars core gameplay remains the same, but updated. You hunt for hidden collectibles, punch
Yep.
stuff to make it explode into Lego pieces.
Kinda
you
looks
build
nice though,
stuff,
doesn't it?
And you fight enemies and do platforming. That stuff is
Like,
the same.
but they
the
still, the
twists
Lego
are pretty
characters still
noteworthy.
fit into the
Shooting
world
combat
so
is
well.
now like over-the-shoulder style and feels more like a traditional third-person shooter.
Hmm.
There's also like a light cover system where characters will automatically
really?
snap to cover, and you can switch to other cover spots by pointing at it and pressing a button.
So that's
Aiming
one
is
really good way
pretty
of
decent,
upgrading
and
the
certain characters can do
gameplay.
special cool trick shots. Feedback feels pretty decent, and
Mm-hmm.
stormtroopers like hilariously will stumble around when you shoot them, and it's actually pretty satisfying to pop their helmets off. Now, shootouts from cover are usually kind of messy though, because the actual cover system itself is rough, and a lot of enemies just run at you, but it works sometimes. That might sound like I'm nitpicking. I don't know, I'm just doing my job. If you're playing with your 8-year-old kid, that kid is not going to care about a rough around the edges cover system. Still, stuff like that is
Exactly.
still
Well, I
fun.
mean, my boy's
Droids
7,
are
so
still
yeah,
mostly in charge
it's
of
pretty much
opening
on point.
doors and unlocking things, but like, man, oh man, the melee, especially for like characters with lightsabers, has been updated quite a bit. You
But
can
I
do
even love the way that they
combos, and
run.
it
Like, they
really
look like
changes
that.
things
Yeah,
up.
see,
You can
it's
hit
just those
dudes,
little
you can
extra
pop 'em up
bits.
into the air, you can ground slam. There's way more room to make combat a little more engaging. Some enemies
like
can
this.
block, so you'll need to combo them, and some enemies even hit you with a big attack that you can actually counter. It's all super basic, like
I mean, look, it's the same sort of gameplay. It's the same sort of style they've always had. I do like the idea that they've increased the gameplay mechanics as far as they've got a little bit of a light cover system this time. But I mean, look at the stance and the difference between Qui-Gon Jinn and I'm assuming Obi-Wan. Yeah, oh, sorry, it's up to the top right. Yeah. So I do know my Star Wars at least a little bit. But I mean, look at the stance difference. I mean, Qui-Gon was always, the older sort of master, so his stance is off to the side. He's always ready to go. While Obi-Wan was always more flary and, all that sort of stuff. So I love it. I love the aesthetics, and I love that they've changed the character base as well. It's just an overall improvement. But I mean, you look at the environments. I mean, maybe not the best photo right there to have stopped on. But I mean, you look at the environments, and they look clean. They look like, I could play Dark Souls on this environment. You could basically chop and change whatever you wanted into something like this. Remove the Lego pieces and put in either, say, a Gothic setting, or you could put in, a market. You could be Skyrim. You could put in basically anything you want, and the gameplay is going to be very similar in that sense. But the gameplay, the aesthetics are going to look very similar in that sense. But I love that they could put Lego in here. They could put all the flashy effects and stuff on that, so it makes it look like it fits the world. I mean, look, the market stalls here, they said they do look a little out of place, but I mean,
really
it is what it
base
is,
level stuff, because
It's not bad.
people of different age groups have to be able to grasp it, but it's a nice
But
step
it
up
fits.
and
It really
makes
fits.
a difference during boss battles, and especially the one-on-one lightsaber fights. It's a good, satisfying improvement, and it's pretty fun. Now, the only thing that bothered me about combat is that your AI-controlled companions
Like, look at this. Hang on.
are
Here we go.
absolutely mindless. Like,
Look at that environment there. You tell me that's not Monster Hunter World material. Or you tell me that's not, a Final Fantasy game material. It just looks like it, but it still fits the aesthetic because, I mean, you can put Lego anywhere, can't you? I mean, all the advertising and marketing over the years has always just been
way more than
Lego
they should be, way
sitting
more
on the
than they
desk, on the
have
table, in an
comparison, to the
environment.
point where
So it
most of the
always
times They
fits.
just stand there, barely helping out in combat. It almost feels like a glitch or a bug. They'll occasionally fire off a shot, but they mostly just stand around in the middle of the action. And
Okay,
it's
that's
really
kind of annoying.
distracting. It's
But then again, you got
definitely
multiplayer.
much stronger as a cooperative
Is that a green hot
experience,
dog?
which, as far as I know, is only good old-fashioned couch co-op, drop-in, drop-out, split screen, old-school style. The other big addition is larger environments, more exploration, and a bunch of
Like,
side
look at that.
quests.
Look at
Now,
the huts. Like, look at the housing
it's
that they're
pretty
in. Or,
overwhelmingly big.
I'm assuming it's
So
okay, yeah,
right from the
a base
start,
of some
like,
description,
right
but
outside
look at
Luke
it. Look how
Skywalker's
nice the
childhood home,
lighting is.
There's a sprawling area with things to find and people to talk to and side quests to complete that usually nets you mini.
Oh, and the
quests.
range of
Like,
characters you've got as
then
well.
Pretty much
Is
every
pretty
time
damn
you progress,
impressive.
you can find yourself in a new explorable area. I'm talking like all of Cloud City, Mos Eisley Spaceport, Naboo, Jakku, and Nima Outpost, all filled with like rideable creatures, vehicles, and NPCs. It's a lot. They give you a lot.
Dude, that's
of them.
pretty
Like,
cool.
Remember the 3 second
C4B1 is pretty damn quick too. That's awesome.
Like in the woods, that whole wooded area is like a big open playable explorable area. It's wild. It's a lot,
C4B1.
and
No, that's
all
not
of
his
it
name.
is somewhat skippable if you want to just play.
I thought they
through
called
the
him
main
BB
quests.
something.
It just means you have to usually run a long distance.
I don't know,
to the
I've
next
only
thing.
watched the new
And
ones
the same
a
goes for
couple of
space
times, so
missions.
correct me if
Before
I'm wrong
flying
now. I thought
down
it was
to a
BB
planet for a
something.
main quest, you can freely fly around a section of space and usually find a few battles to jump into to kill time, or a floating droid that'll give you a little side quest. There is a staggering amount of stuff to do. Just for me personally, though, it got a little repetitive. There are so many
That's
Easter
interesting.
eggs
Look at
and
that. Look at
references
the Aztec
and
level.
dialogue and side quests and
How nice
good
does that
jokes,
look?
But on the gameplay side, after a while, it got stale. And when
well-
I got to like my 4th open-ended area, I was pretty much tapped out and just didn't want to see anymore because it felt a little repetitive. That being said, I still got a little bit.
Look,
of
I suppose. Look, I will agree on that point there. As these more accessible games are for a younger audience, I suppose. I sort of find that you sort of the burnout is there. Yeah, I sort of do get a little bit wary every now and then playing these sort of games, but they're not to the you don't sit there and you just play them for hours and hours on end. I mean, you can obviously if you're if you're a completionist or you just really genuinely enjoy the games and you want to play it for the story, of course the option's there. But I mean, for me, if I look at a game like this, I go, ooh, is it accessible for me and my son to play? Or, is it something I'm going to enjoy by myself? I feel like if I'm going to sit there and enjoy a game like this, particularly myself, I think there are better options for me to sit there and play. But while if I want to, as he just said, a nice couch co-op game where a couple of us can just jump in, have a bit of fun. I mean, you can play a drinking game to this. You could invite a couple of friends over and sit down and play this. I mean, it's got all your favorite Star Wars characters in it. It's got all your favorite Star Wars, environments and locations and things like that. Your ship scenes, like where you're flying around in space. There's something for everyone in there. So maybe not necessarily like a party kind of game, but I mean, for the Star Wars fans out there, this is definitely going to be something that they should be picking up because it does look like a lot of fun.
And cruising around just to check out the environment for a second. It's all just a massive collect-a-thon. Now, your mileage is going to vary. It depends on your tastes. I got bored of this after a while, but I know a lot of people do not. And if you are a classic Lego game collector, brick hunter, man, this game is designed for you and gives you a ton. Of course, a lot of this is grinding out, collecting stuff for free play mode, where you could just.
Well, that's one way to make mass genocide cute.
Character you want. That's
suppose.
A normal Lego game type thing, but now you also get the skill tree, where you can dump collectibles into tree branches for each specific type of character, like Jedi,
dude, that's cool.
Droids, bounty hunters, stuff like that. More health, better attacks, faster force powers, stuff like that. None of it is really necessary. Like it all feels
no, but I mean, it's still cool. It's nice to have a bit of an upgrade channel this time.
Like a new hint and rumor system and stuff, and it's all just kind of fluff, but it can be a nice thing to work through. I actually though found
well, it gives you some progression. It gives you some goals.
The main quests, which kind of shows how unnecessary it is to progress. But again, I think it's more about the fun of the collecting, the thrill of the collecting grind. Now on this front, to me, and my memory of the games is a bit fuzzy, it seems like the most all-encompassing, comprehensive Star Wars game ever. It's a massive celebration of all of it. It pokes fun of all of it, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. But it still feels like a labor of love for the whole franchise.
Well, it does. I mean, look at it, though. Look how clean the environments are. I mean, look... I mean, you can tell this is... You can look at the reflection lighting in this. It is so unnecessary for it to be so damn polished for a Lego game. But look, they've gone above and beyond to really blend these characters into these environments. I mean, you look at these 4K environments. As I said before, I mean, you could play a first-person shooter in these environments and nothing would be amiss. You can basically dump any sort of game you want into an environment like this and be pretty well happy and satisfied with your, with how it looks. And I mean... That's just the key to great environmental design by the design team. It looks gorgeous. It really does.
Fight Darth Maul as Qui-Gon Jinn. All of it hits real good. even if it's just like goofy little Lego people, it still works and
that's
feels
it.
like a genuinely satisfying Star Wars experience. That might sound cheesy, but hey, like I'm a diehard lifelong Star Wars fan, and no, I will not debate or read comment sections about it. I know. Still, it's definitely something I'd recommend mostly for the big Lego game collector addicts and people with kids or drunk nostalgic friends. As a somewhat adult man
We've all got
playing
them.
this game in solitary confinement, I had fun, but I can see it drying up a bit. Still, like I said, it's good stuff. I think if you were looking
And look,
forward to
I think
this,
he's hit the nail on the head right there. Like, it depends on what your expectations are going into something like this. I mean, for me, if I pick up a Lego game, I'm like, okay, I'm going to play this for a couple of hours. I'm going to have a little bit of fun. It's just genuinely just, going to be a nice, easy, collectible, focused game that I'm just going to have a little bit of fun through, play a few levels, and see how we go from there. There's nothing to be taken too seriously.
Exactly what you were hoping for.
But yeah, you will get the burnout if you try and just go, all right, I'm just going to complete this.
Star Wars characters and playing through all the movies, you get exactly what you want here. It's a bit different than previous games. It acts as if
and you get a nostalgic hit too, I suppose.
It adds a metric boatload of just Star Wars stuff, Star Wars goodness. And that's awesome, man. But that's a brief look at Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I want to hear what you guys think. This game is
all right. Look, I mean,
week, and what
see again at the end of the day, like they've got everything. It's really well polished. It just, I mean, the Lego games, they've been doing it for years, so they know what they're doing. I really like the look of this one though. It seems to flow really nicely. I like the improved combat. I like the improved basically everything in it. And I mean, let's go back to like some of these environments here, like this jungle, Aztec temple. I mean, look, maybe not entirely polished in this. I mean, is it even out yet? I don't believe it is. At the time of this recording anyway. But I mean, look, you can basically drop anyone in, any sort of game into these environments. I mean, look how nicely they are. They're nice and polished. I mean, you could have a racer through here. You could have a first-person shooter. You could have, a Force Unleashed. You could have any sort of style of game you want. I mean, these environments are absolutely gorgeous. And look at the variation in them. I mean, well, there's a lot of variation as far as Star Wars stuff goes as it is. But I mean, where's one in the desert? I mean, like, look at these environments. Look how nice and polished they are. Like, the sand looks like sand. The rocks, they look like rocks. The light reflections, everything's there you'd expect from a well-fleshed-out game. Star Wars Lego, the Skywalker Saga. Not bad. I think we might even have a bit of a look at that one. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. I might run that by my son, and I'll wait for the good word, and he'll yeah, he'll go me either thumbs up or thumbs down. But I'm pretty sure that's look, at least a 7.5. At least, just from what I've seen there. I mean, I haven't played it yet, but just from what I can see and what I'm sort of expecting it to happen, yeah, it's about a 7.5. I like that.